next week. I think that's probably fair. So cumulatively, it's gonna go to 101 plays 105. I think something like that. Okay, time for other results then, and we'll start with round 22 of the Championship, which was an interesting round, but nothing was really decided. We start though with Batley 23, Bradford 16. It was Featherstone 8, Halifax 28, but Halifax celebrations will have been cut short by the news that it was Hull KR 24, Toulouse 31. Toulouse were trailing in this one and managed to turn around both the game and their recent form and fortunes to stay in contention. Sheffield 42, Oldham 28, Swinton 20, Dewsbury 42 in the game I was at, and it was very much the same as the two other times I'd seen Swinton in the flesh this season. They played the nicer rugby league, but they made too many mistakes that invited too much territory and then couldn't defend their own goal line very well, dropping off a lot of tackles, which is a big shame for them. I'm waiting to see what the crowd figure was because I didn't hear it announced. It looked quite healthy, not quite as healthy as the cup game against Wigan, but it looked quite healthy. They had 200 people there having a buffet before with some ex-players and that sort of stuff, doing the rounds to raise some funds. There were fans from plenty of Salford fans were there. There was fans from Castleford I saw, Warrington, St Helens, other Wigan fans beyond myself. So there was people trying to get behind the Swinton cause. I think they will have put a lot of money in the coffers, and I'm hoping that they're going to be able to confirm funding to see out this season at the very least, and then they will maybe have to cut their cloth a little bit differently for 2018, whether they're in League One or not. And see how that goes, but all the best to Swinton in their fight. Rochdale 18, London 58 was the final result of the round. He who cannot be named, who I assume is the person who's also going to get in touch with us for the next review, but he said, a nice victory for the lads, second place confirmed, disappointed they're not on the list. Yeah, they weren't on the list because they weren't the game of the week. Super the Yid, which is Paul Campbell, said, with a game to go, we secure second place. Not saying we can do it, but the chance is there. I think he means promotion. I think Widnes are the weakest team in Super League now. If Hull KR do us a favour, we could do the £1 million game. That's if it's Widnes, because I think we can beat them. Why have the Broncos been missed off the list? Not impressed. Come on, guys, get it sorted. If they were game of the week, Paul, then they would be on the list. When they're in the qualifiers, they will be on the list every week, so don't you fret. Hull KR and London have the extra home game in the qualifiers. Third place Featherstone could yet end up fourth, but that's as low as they could go, and the fourth qualifier spot is still up for grabs. Halifax there at the moment on 30 points, but Toulouse on 28 points have a better points difference, so they can still get back in by my reckoning. And in round 23, Toulouse hosts Featherstone on Saturday, and then Halifax host Hull KR on Sunday. So it will be interesting to see what happens there. Below all that, Batley and Sheffield. Dewsbury had a good weekend. They're in 8th now on 14 points. Rochdale dropped to 9th on 13. Oldham have 11. Swinton in 11th have 10, and then Bradford stay bottom with the big fat 0. On to League One, where people on Saturday night watching Premier Sports might have seen the Wolfpack beat Hemel 74 points to 16, but actually credit to the Hemel side. They were far better than I was expecting in this one and gave the Wolfpack a reasonably decent game for large parts, so credit to them there. London 36, South Wales 16, Coventry 13, North Wales 36. Not enough, sadly, though, for North Wales. Hunslet 26, Newcastle 25, and THGF got in touch and said, the great game, rubbish ref ruining the game. So I assume that was a Newcastle fan because they lost, but I'm not sure. But either way, it sounds like a cracker and wouldn't have made a jot of difference to either side's eights where they would have finished. Well, I suppose positionally for Newcastle, they could have slightly changed the spots, but not a massive change there. Keighley 92, Oxford 6, big score there. Tim G Radio said, we didn't get nilled. We didn't get nilled. How shit must you be? We didn't get nilled. Gloucestershire 4, Doncaster 42, although that maybe doesn't tell us the full story, because Lee Randall said this was definitely a game that showed the difference between the top and bottom of League One. Doncaster, with their ex-Super League players and all goals with their inexperienced players, really did show in this game, as Doncaster dominated the game from the first whistle to the last. Couldn't fault the effort from the all goals players as they tried their best. Now on to the League One Shield, come on you all goals. And Alan Witt said, despite the scoreline, the all goals never lacked in effort or attitude. Injuries have taken their toll on the squad, but can go into the Shield feeling confident with players coming back. The result today was never in doubt. We defended very well with a half-time score of 0-6. Fatigue set in and Doncaster moved the ball fast, and in truth we never troubled them. A well-earned week's rest now. Come on, you all goals. In the big game of the round, it was Whitehaven 32, Barrow 6 for Whitehaven to firm up that second place going into the playoff eights there, and it was York 34, Workington 0. The job had already been done for Workington in terms of finishing in the top 8. So the regular season ends with Toronto 1st, Whitehaven 2nd, Barrow 3rd, York 4th, Doncaster 5th, Newcastle 6th, Keighley 7th and Workington in 8th. All those with a chance of going up in the League One Shield. It will be North Wales, who finished 9th, Hunslet 10th. Scholars finished 11th in the end with that win this week, jumping over the All Goals, who finished 12th, Oxford are 13th, Coventry 14th, South Wales 15th, and the Stags were 16th in this division without a win throughout the entire regular season, unfortunately for them. Origin Game 3. An exciting event to talk about. It's had a lot of lead up and fallout, but it was Queensland 22, New South Wales 6, which meant Queensland took the series 2-1. Seeing Jonathan Thurston off, although he didn't play in this game, certainly, the way he won the second game and the way the players sort of honoured him after the conclusion of this game. Maybe seeing goodbye to others like Cooper Cronk. So it's going to be a real interesting thing to see what happens there. Maybe it's the end of an era. Very, very good performance from Queensland, though. And the best player in the series award went to Dane Gagai. And I was thinking, watching the game, that Gagai and Maguire have been the two really consistent players for the Maroons in the series. But so many great performances in the last two games from the pivotal players, from Cronk and Smith in Game 3 and from Thurston in Game 2, and even like the new ones coming into the Maroon side were surrounded by leaders and victors, so it was a good time to come in, even though New South Wales probably edged the quality of play over the whole series. So it's going to be exciting next year, and they're probably already counting down the days and talking about their origin teams in Australia already. Elliot Wrench, he got in touch. He said, I waited all day avoiding the score or the match commentary. Then it was so one-sided. The Maroons just blew them away with their intense plays, and it looked like so much more energy too. They ain't feeling blue. Phil Nadin said, G'day lads. Well, what a great game to finish the series off. Queensland had this game under control from the start, and apart from 15 minutes or so, didn't look like losing this game. I did like that the captain got Jonathan Thurston up on the platform to help lift the shield. Rich Wilkinson said, fucking gutted, blew our chances in Game 2. Beaten by a champion team still with plenty of champions, despite missing some of the game's greats. And Tim G Radio said, it's not the despair. The despair I can cope with. It's the hope that kills you. Then a few NRL games to catch up on as well. Round 18, it was Warriors 22, Panthers 34. It was Raiders 18, Dragons 14, with Elliot Whitehead scoring the game winner in Golden Point extra time, touching down off a big Dave Taylor offload. Hodgson played 42 tackles for him in a scratchy attacking performance, but solid defensive one. Whitehead with that try. Gareth Widdop on the other side had a try and try assist. but wasn't quite enough. Then it was the Knights 22, Broncos 34. Joe Wardle played for the Knights. Titans 30, Sharks 10. So quite an upset there, you would probably suggest. The Sharks getting absolutely battered in the rain, and Joe Greenwood was part of that with a try for the Gold Coast. Seagulls 28, West Tigers 16, Rabbitohs 10, Cowboys 23, with all the Burgess boys getting into triple figures, although also dropping the ball a few times didn't help the cause. Tom Burgess 135 metres, Sam 152, George 100. So in the table, Storm on 28 points atop, just ahead of a group of 5 on 26 points. The Sea Eagles, the Broncos, the Sharks, the Cowboys and the Roosters. The Dragons and Eels make up the top 8 on 22 points, 2 ahead of the 9th place Panthers and 4 ahead of the rest of the chasing pack, the Raiders, the Warriors and the Titans. The Rabbitohs and Bulldogs on 16 are slipping away from top 8 contention. The bottom 2, Tigers and Knights, probably maybe the last time we speak about them till the end of the regular season, eh? And that's all your results in rapid fire time. So this is going to be harder to do on my own, but round 23 predictions. Thursday night, I don't know how Sky must feel with the game they've ended up with this week, but on Thursday night they've got Warrington versus Widnes. Warrington win, I would say. I don't think I need to spend much more time on that now. Friday, 8 PM, it's not on Sky, but it's Hull FC versus Huddersfield. This should be a cracker, and Hull really need the win. I think they will get the win. As long as they tighten things up and go into cup mode, I think they should be pretty sound. Huddersfield have been good of late, though, so it really will be a test, and it's a tough one to call, but a close margin win for Hull FC, I'm going. Friday at 8 PM also, it's Lee against Salford, and I'll tip the away side. Lee haven't shown much attack. They do seem to have a rivalry building with Salford, but a friendly one now, and yeah, I think that'll go the way of the Red Devils with a few scores lead on that one. Also on Friday, Wigan versus Leeds. This is the Sky game, and hopefully Wigan aren't as diabolical and boring as they were last week, because that's no good to nobody. Look, I don't pick against them, do I? So I'm just not going to pick a winner for this game. I'm struggling to anyway. Let me think. I will go Wigan only through the sheer deluded nature of my fandom, I would say. Another Sky game for us this week, bonus 3 games with Catalan being at home at 5 PM on Saturday. You'll get to see Castleford no doubt beat Catalan by running away with it at the end of the show, at the end of the game. And then Sunday 3 PM, Wakefield versus St Helens. This is an exciting one. I think this could go either way, and I'm fixing towards Saints. I'm sorry, Wakefield fans, but I think it's going to be a St Helens win. This one by maybe 10 points. I don't know. So I'm going to go Warrington, Hull FC, Salford, Wigan, Castleford, and Saints. Don't forget, though, to make your Super Bowl predictions, which is what I'm just jotting down now to remind myself. And also, do not forget to make changes to your Dream Team lineups if you're still bothered about that. Most of us are out of the running with the sterling performances from people like Stephen Bowie. Follow all the action as it happens over the weekend with our friends SL Clubs on Twitter, or all the other accounts that we mentioned earlier on, to be honest, because there's lots of great fan accounts out there that have always backed us, and they do a lot more live tweeting during games than we certainly do, so check them out. Championship game of the week, well, Toulouse versus Featherstone is the first one. If Toulouse win that one, Halifax versus Hull KR becomes the game of the week. If Toulouse lose that one, then there was no game of the week. then the no League One action as the split happens, and the fixtures are going to get organised out there. But in the NRL, we do have some